to chapter a day of Bhagavad Gita. So today, because I had a chat with Mukunda Hari Prabhu yesterday, and I understand some of the verses obviously don't have purport. So we finished the text 26 and 27 yesterday. So although we were meant to start the second part of the 11th chapter after not this Ekadashi, because we were going to do 15th chapter, we were going to go straight to the 15th and then come back, but we're going to start the recitation of the text 27, text 28 onwards from today, and we'll see how it goes for the next few days. So just I'll give it a minute and then I'll share the screen, and we will have Yash reciting Sanskrit as usual on Fridays, and Sridham will do English, and then tomorrow we will swap it around.
सुभद्रा का विवाह मुझसे अवश्य कराएगा। मुदिल है वो कृष्ण, मुदिल है दुर्योधन, हमसे 10 कदम आगे भी सोचता है वो। चुका है दुर्योधन, और उसके भाई इस समय उसके संग नहीं।
Hare Krishna. So I'm just going to mute everybody. So Yash, you can unmute yourself. And we are starting with text 28 all the way to the end of the chapter now. Okay.
Should I start?
Yeah, you can start with the Mangla Charan and, Om Namo Bhagavate prayers, and then start with the recitation.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yata Hanadi Nambavo Mubuvega Samudraram Evami Bimuka Dravanti Tatavami Nandra Loka Vida Vishanti Vaktrani Abhi Vijalanti.
As the many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter into your blazing mouth.
Enter blazing into your mouths. Text 29.
Sorry about the pronunciations, but I haven't practiced this, so it's a bit bad.
That's okay, Yash.
Yata pradiptam jvalanam patanga vishanti nashaya samrida vega tateva nashaya vishanti lokas tavapi vaktrani samrida vega.
I see all people rushing full speed into your mouth, as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire.
Text 30.
Laliya segra samana samantal lokan smagran vadaner jvalabhi tejo bera purya jagat samagram basastavograha pratapamti Vishnu.
O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouth, covering all the universe with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible scorching rays.
Akyahi meko bhavan ugra rupo namostu deva varaprasida vegyatum icham nibhavantamadhyam nahi prajanamitava pravrittim.
O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kaloshmi Loka Kashaya Kriti Pravdo Lokan Smahartum Iha Pravditaha Pritepi tvam na bhavishyanti sarve yevastitaha pratyanekesho yoda.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Time I am the great I am the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain.
Tasmat tvam utishta yaso sholabhasva jitva shatrun bhunshva rajyam samridam maye vaiti tem netaha purvameva nimittamatram bhavasavya sachin.
Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight.
Jernam cha bhishmam cha jayadratam cha karanam tatanyam api yodaveran maya hatam stavam chahimavyatishta udyasvajeta sirane sapatnan.
Drona, Bhishma, Jayadatta, Karna, and the other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies in battle.
Sanjaya vacha etachrutva vachanam keshavasya kritanjalirvepamana krititi namaskritva bhuya evaha krishnam sagadgadam beta pranamya.
Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trembling Arjuna offered obeisances with folded hands again and again. He fearfully spoke to Lord Krishna in a faltering voice as follows.
Arjuna vacha stane rishikeshatava prakirtya jagat praharsyatya anurajyatecha lakshamsi betani disho dravanti sarve namasyanti chaseda sange.
Arjuna said, O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done.
Kasmak chatena nameran mahatman gariyase brahmanopi adikatre ananta deve shajagan nivasa tvam aksharam sad asattat param yat.
O great one, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer the respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, God of gods, refuge of the universe, you are the invincible source of the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation.
Tvam adideva purusha puranas tvam asya vishvasya param nidanam vetasi vedyam chaparam chadama tvam tatam vishvam ananta rupa.
You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes, O limitless form. This whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you.
Vayuryamognir Varuna Shashanka Prajapatisvam Prapitam Mahascha Namo Namaste Stu Sahasrakritvaha Punascha Bhuyopi Namo Namaste.
You are air, and you are the supreme controller. You are fire, you are water, and you are the moon. You are Brahma, the first living creature, and you are the great-grandfather. And therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times, and again and yet again.
Namaha Purastadata Pushtataste Namostute Sarvata Eva Sarva Ananta Virya Nita Vikramastvam Sarvam Samapnoshi Tatoshi Sarva.
Obeisance to you from the front, from behind, and from all sides, O unbounded power. You are the master of all limitless might. You are all-pervading, and thus you are everything.
Saketi Matva Prasabam Yadyuktam He Krishna He Yadava He Saketi Ajanatamahima Nam Tavedam Maya Pramadat Pranayena Vapi Yachchavahashra Tamasat Kritosi Virahashaya Sanabojasenu Ekota Vipi Vapi Ajitata Samaksham Taksham Mayatvam Naham Aprameyam.
Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as you relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses.
Pitasi lokasya characharasya Tvam asya pugyascha guru nukariyan Natvam samashti abhayadikaha putanya Natvat samashti abhyadika kutonyo Lokatraya pi amrati prabhava.
You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation, of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you with the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power?
Tasmat pranamya pranidaya kayam prasadayet vamaham isham nidayam piteva putrasya sakyeva sakyu priyaha priyaya resi devasodam.
You are the supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus, I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, or a friend tolerates the impertinence of a friend, or a wife tolerates the familiarity of her partner, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done to you.
Adrishtapurvam Rishasmi Drishva Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me Tad eva me darshaya deva rupam Prasida devesha jagannivasa.
After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, above, O abode of the universe.
Kirtinam Gadinam Chakrahastam Ichamit Vandrashtamam Aham Tataive Teneva Rupena Chaturbhujena Sahasrabaho Bhavar Vishvamurte.
O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form.
Sri Bhagavanuvacha Maya Prasanena Tavarjunedam Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yoga Tejomayam Vishvamanantamadyam Vanmetavad Annenyadna Drishtapurvam.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you, by my internal potency, the Supreme Universal Form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence.
Na Vedayagna Dhyayaner na Daner na Chakriya Bir na Tapo Birugray Evam Rupa Shakya Aham Nirloke Drashtum Tavad Anyena Kuru Pravira.
O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, but neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances, can I be seen in this form in the material world.
Mate Vyatama Chavimuda Bhavo Drishvarupam Goramidrin Mamedam Vyapetabihi Pritamana Punastvam Tad Eva Merupamidam Prapashya.
You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire.
Sanjaya Vacha Iti Arjunam Vasatoktva Svakam Rupam Darshayam Asabuya Ashvasyayam Asabchabitamenam Bhutva Punaha Somyavapur Mahatma.
Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form, at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna.
Arjuna Vacha Drishtavedam Manusham Rupam Drishtavedam Manu. I need a bit of help with the tune.
Dishvedam manusham rupam
Drishtavedam Manusham Rupam Tavasumyam Janardana Idanim Asim Samvritaha Sachetaha
sachetaha prakritim gata.
Sorry.
That's okay, Yash. Read it. Yeah.
When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and restored to my original nature.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha Sadurdarsham
Idam Rupam
Rupam Drishtvan Drishtavan asiyan mama deva api asya rupasya nityam darshana kanshanaha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you're now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear.
Naham vedelna tapasa nada nenana jayaya shakya evam vido drashtum drishtvan asmi mamyata."
The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am.
Bhaktyatva ananyaya shakya aham eva vidorjuna Dhyatum drashtum chattatvena praveshtum cha parantapa.
My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding.
Mat karma krin mat paramo mad bhakta sanga varjitaha nirvairaha sarvabhuteshu yaha samam eti pandava.
My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and is friendly to me, friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Sridhar. Well, considering I didn't give you the opportunity to go through the verses beforehand, I do apologize. It's just that I was thinking to go with the first chapter, but something in me told me that because we have finished reciting the verses, and now we moved on to the second session, I naturally thought let's just pick up with the second session, but probably a lesson learned from next time that I'll give you a heads up, Yash. But you did very well. Well done. And thank you, Sridham, for reciting the English. So I will now just take you all to the verses which we are covering today from verse 28 to 32. These are the verses we will be covering. So welcome everybody who's just joined us to chat chapter a day of Bhagavad Gita. As I say, we recite one chapter every day and we discuss one shloka every day. Especially if there is no purport, then we read all those verses and pick up the verse where there is a purport. And where the chapters are longer, we divide them into two parts. So like how we've done it for the 11th chapter, we've been reciting the first 27 verses in the last 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks. And now we are reciting the second half of the chapter every day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So what I'll do is I will read the translation from text 28 to 31, and then the text which has purport, we will read the Sanskrit and also the purport. This is text 28 from 11th chapter. As the many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter blazing into your mouths. Text 29, I see all people rushing full speed into your mouths as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. Text 30, O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths, covering all the universes with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible scorching rays. Text 31. O Lord of the Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. Text 32. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kalosmi Loka Kashayakrit Pravardo Lokan Samhartum Iha Pravarta Rate Pitvam Na Bhavishyanti Sarve Ye Vashishta Prati Anikeshu Yodaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain." Purport. Although Arjuna knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by the various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of this devastating force. It is written in the Vedas that the Supreme Truth destroys everything, even the Brahmanas, as stated in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.25. Yasya Brahma Chakrashatam Cha Ubhe Bhavata Odana Mrityuryaso Pashachanam Ka Itha Vedya Yatrasa Veda Yatrasa. Eventually, all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme. This form of the Supreme Lord is all devouring giant. And here Krishna presents himself in the form of all devouring time. Except for a few Pandavas, everyone who was present on that battlefield would be devoured, by him. Arjuna was not in a favor of the fight, and he thought it was better not to fight. Then there would be no frustration. In reply, the Lord is saying that even if he did not fight, every one of them would be destroyed, for that was his plan. If Arjuna stopped fighting, they would die in another way. Death could not be checked even if he did not fight. In fact, they were already dead. Time is destruction, and the manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we will be discussing. We are on this section of the Bhagavad Gita, finishing the second and going into the third section. So what's happening in this section is Sanjay is describing the Arjuna's vision, what Arjuna is able to see. And in the next session, which is starting today, the text 32, is Krishna is saying, "Time I am, become my instrument." That's what he's going to talk about in the next 3 verses. And in the section 4, he's going to talk about Arjuna's prayers. There will be a section where Arjuna is now folding his hand and offering his prayers to Krishna. And in the last section, how Krishna's 2-armed form is the most beautiful form for the devotees to behold. So, I mean, it is quite a straightforward verses. Hence, Srila Prabhupada decided not to give any purport. And I'm not going to spend much time because these are analogies. And here in text 26 and 27, which ended yesterday, there were talks about how all the soldiers from both the armies were actually being devoured by the Lord, including the Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. They were all rushing into the mouth. And that's what we heard from Mukunda Hari. No, was it Mukunda Hari Prabhu? Yes, Mukunda Hari Prabhu yesterday. And now in the text 28, 29, and 30, we'll see that there are two aspects of the two analogies given by in the Bhagavad Gita here. One is that as many waves of river flow into the ocean. So that's how many people were as if going into this, into Lord Krishna's body, being, killed by him. And then another one is as the moths dash into destruction in blazing fire. So we see these very tiny moths with very minute size. They're looking for, they're looking for big fire, and they don't know that they're going to be, as soon as they get there, they will be completely consumed by that blazing fire. So similarly, all these different soldiers on the battlefield, they were being pulled towards the Lord's mouth, and Arjuna was able to see this bewildering, scene actually. So here we see that all the people from all sides, and then it's mentioned in the text 30 that your effulgence is covering all the universe with terrible scorching rays. So Arjuna is saying here that I'm able to see that how your this radiant effulgence is not just, although you're situated in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but it's actually covering the entire universe. And he was not able to even take up the heat. So you can imagine coming close to the sun can be very, very hot. I mean, it's obvious, but here we see the description of Krishna. Here, Arjuna is feeling scorching rays because the Lord is there. And in Brahma Samhita, we hear that Lord actually, even if like thousands of, we read in the other verse, so many suns were to rise together, even that put together will not actually come anywhere close to Krishna's radiance, his effulgence. And now in the text 31, Arjuna begins to ask two questions after this, after seeing this form. He's saying in this text that who are you and what is your mission, my Lord? And why Arjuna asking this question? Because although Arjuna knew Krishna as his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he was puzzled by various forms exhibited by Krishna. So Krishna had a good idea, because Krishna has told Arjuna many times, in the previous chapter, that actually I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am the Yagana Purusha. I am the one who everybody seeks shelter of. So all these descriptions have been given to Arjuna. So Arjuna had a very clear idea that, okay, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But now he was puzzled because he had not seen anything like this of Krishna before. You see, so only now Arjuna, for time being, becomes bewildered, although he's situated as a pure devotee. But now he's starting to think, oh my God, Krishna can actually exhibit this form, and I could see everybody being killed by him. So and now Krishna's bewilderment starts to begin, and he starts to question, Arjuna's bewilderment, and he starts to question to himself, my Lord, who are you actually, and what is your mission? What are you trying to achieve from this form? And now in the text 32, what we see here in this section, Krishna is describing that I'm time, and he's suggesting him to become his instrument. So becoming an instrument will be covered in the verses, in the coming verses, text 33 and 34. And the practical application from this particular session is that as the super soul, Lord Krishna is controlling all the cosmic events according to his will. That's the message we need to try and understand, that it is the Lord who's situated in our heart in the form of Paramatma, who's actually, Chandrika Mataji, if you could maybe, I think it's probably by mistake you're using this pen, and it's leaving some marks. So if you could see if you could withdraw that. So Krishna is situated in our heart as the Paramatma, and he is actually sanctioning all our wanderings, and a soul who is bewildered by the modes of material nature, he thinks actually it is me who's doing everything. But Bhagavad Gita explains, Prakriti kriya manani guna karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. It is explained in Bhagavad Gita, a soul bewildered under the influence of the modes of material nature thinks himself to be the doer of the activities which are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature, which are directly working under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So So this is a very good point to reflect on here in this particular section, that how Krishna is situated in our heart, and he's controlling the cosmic events according to his will. He's deciding what has to be done for which living entity, and what has to be done for which country, and what has to be done for which universe, and what has to be done for other universes, because Krishna is completely independent. There's no cause beyond him. So and one of his manifestation is as Paramatma. So he's able to make that decision of controlling the cosmic events. And then he's saying, as time, he's pushing all things towards destruction. So in this particular section of Mahabharat or Bhagavad Gita, we see what's happening here. Now Krishna is there on the battlefield as a chariot driver. Arjuna is there. But now Arjuna can really begin to see the plan of the Lord. So it's a very good learning for all of us. Sometimes we are in the middle of something and we can't figure out the head or tail of what we are trying to do. And we become frustrated, and we take to many people take to many other shelters. Some people become frustrated in the course of achieving something. Then they take shelter of alcohol. They take shelter of many such activities which are not conducive for our well-being or spiritual well-being. However, a devotee who's enlightened by the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, he takes the shelter of the instructions of the Lord, and he understands, okay, I am frustrated. I tried my best, but the reason I'm feeling frustrated is for two. One, I am attached to the results of my activities. That's why the frustration comes. If we are not attached to the results of our activities, we will not be frustrated. Number two, the reason we get frustrated is because we think that we are the doer. And because we have worked so hard, we think I deserve this. So there is a saying that first deserve, then desire in spiritual world. So it is very important for us in our practicing of Krishna consciousness that we need to, sorry, I if you could please mute yourself, that would be very helpful. So it is very important in our Krishna consciousness that we we develop a sense of adhikar through the service to the Vaishnavas and spiritual master. That's how we can have some kind of a adhikar to further progress and serve in Krishna consciousness. So here, as Arjuna is able to see the plan, then a devotee who's in the middle of all the sufferings, like all of us, we are sadhakas, at least I'm a struggling sadhaka. My sadhana is down, sometimes it is up, sometimes it's down, sometimes, it's not great. So I'm not situated at a platform where, I'm sthir, like I'm dedicated, I'm committed, I'm sincere. I have my ups and downs. So because I have these up and down, and I'm not at that level, I start to get frustrated because I think I have done this, I have achieved this. But a sincere devotee who's trying to practice Krishna consciousness, he gives the credit to all what he has achieved, even if it is something so-called achieved, to his spiritual master and the previous spiritual masters and our acharyas actually. That is the symptom of a devotee who believes, who accepts that, okay, Krishna is the controller. I'm not. I'm still under the influence of modes of material nature. I took the instruction of my spiritual master. I tried to do something. And now if the result has come, that result belongs to my spiritual master and the previous acharyas. It has nothing to do with me. I was only a nimitta matra, an instrument. And that's what we will learn in the coming verses. So here we see the theme was in this text of 32, Krishna in the form of universal time replies to Arjuna's two questions. He says, I'm time, Kala Rupa, and my mission is to destroy everything and all the people in all the worlds except Pandavas. That's what is revealed in this text 32. And what does it indicate? It indicates that if Arjuna did not, we know that even if Arjuna did not want to fight, they will die anyway, because Krishna had already orchestrated this whole plan of killing all the Kurus except the handful Pandavas. And then Prabhupada quotes from the Katha Upanishad that how even the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and everyone else will be killed like a meal by the Supreme Lord as all devouring giant. So here we may think, okay, Krishna is killing, but this killing is very different to what goes on in the material world, because everybody who was killed there by Krishna or through his plan was liberated in some form or other. They may not have gotten an opportunity to go to the Golok Vrindavan Dham, but they all got some form of liberation. Some may have merged into the Brahma Jyoti, some may have had the opportunity to serve the Lord as a servant. So it all depends on the desire of those people at that time and their consciousness. So that's exactly what's happening in this text. And now let's hear a little bit about the time. So in the Bhagavad Gita 10.33, it is mentioned, Prabhupada mentions in the purport that among all kinds of killer, time is the ultimate because time kills everything. So we hear that, okay, time is the healer. It's a nice saying that, over a period of time, things heal. But the reality of the life is that over a period of the time, we are getting closer to die. Something which has happened materially, which affected us, yes, we are sad about it, but after a while, we may not be sad about that thing. But unfortunately, we'll have to be sad or in misery about something else. And someone who recognizes that time is the essence, he then tries to dedicate his life for spiritual advancement. And then again in the Bhagavatam, in a purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that everything is within the limits of time, but time moves under the direction of the Lord, who's therefore not within time's limit. Look at Prabhupada's purport, and where Prabhupada comes and the angle he has and our acharyas have. So Prabhupada is saying everything is within the limits of time, but time moves under the direction of the Lord, and who's therefore not within time's limit. So we are all subjected to the time, but Krishna is not, because he is the creator of the time and the time serves him as his servant. For the people who are not in Krishna consciousness, the same time becomes the death. And the people who have taken to Krishna consciousness, the same time becomes the factor of them progressing in spiritual life. So please try to remember these two dimensions, ladies and gentlemen. So the people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, the time meets them in the form of death. But the people who have taken to Krishna consciousness, the time meets them in the form of an opportunity to progress and get closer to Krishna, who's beyond the time. So we can also access the same attributes of this transcendental aspect of the time, which is in control of the Lord. And what is time? Eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions, it is explained in the Bhagavatam, of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. As we just saw that and heard that how the time is under the control of the Lord. And this is coming from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada goes on to explain there that although one might assume that the time is a fundamental aspect of the reality, it is in fact a feature only of the material world. As I gave you an example earlier, time as we know it does not exist in the spiritual world. As difficult as it is to comprehend, so our tiny brains try not to comprehend it, because there it's a matter of eternity. Even I wouldn't be able to explain you this concept, but it suffice to say, it's not like, okay, I only have like 2 hours to read my Bhagavad Gita and chant my rounds. That concept is not there, because everybody is all the time meditating and thinking of the Lord. So it's very difficult for us to comprehend. In the spiritual world, things take place even though there is no past or the future. So something, it's constantly going on, everything is fresh. Navayovanam, that's what the spiritual world is all about. And then Prabhupada explains that one cannot calculate the amount of loss there is in wasting the valuable time. Prabhupada says even a single moment passed, you cannot, Chanakya Pandit says you can't, even if you have millions of dollars, you can't buy that moment. So either materially or spiritually, one should be very alert in utilizing the time which he has at his disposal. So that's what a sincere sadhaka should do. He should understand, okay, the time factor, I only have 24 hours. Bhakti Vinod Thakur also had 24 hours. And how did Bhakti Vinod Thakur utilize his 24 hours? He utilized his 24 hours in this way. How did Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada's diary was quite similar to Bhakti Vinod Thakur, but apart from solving the cases in the court, Prabhupada was solving many problems his disciples had, and many issues, like the Juhu temple and many other concerns. In order to expand the Sankirtan movement, Srila Prabhupada took a lot of toll on his head actually. So he also slept only for 2 or 3 hours actually. During the day, he took his morning walk, he did his japa, he would write the letters, he will meet the devotees, he will do so many activities. He was so personal, Srila Prabhupada. Well, he is personal because his books are there, and it's not a case of war. Srila Prabhupada is still with us in the form of his books, because he said, if you want to know me, read my books. Everything I've given in my books. So for the devotees, we have to be very, very careful in terms of how we spend our time, how wisely we spend our time. So we should take inspiration from Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual masters, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that how they do not even, wasted a single moment actually. And to end, this is a quote I wanted to share with all of you of Radhanath Maharaj, he says that how we utilize our time is what qualitatively makes human life great. So think about it for a moment. Rupa Goswami, in the Nectar of Instruction, the 4th verse, he gives an advice that our time should be arranged in such a way that we should try and dedicate majority of the time for hearing and chanting. And as I said in the previous session, our life is what our life is what makes, our life depends on what kind of vibration goes into our ears and then into our heart actually. That's what our life is made of. If we be close to the transcendental vibration of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then that's the kind of lifestyle we are going to have, simple living and high thinking. But if our vibration is very much tuned to Hollywood, Bollywood, or any other wood, then that's the kind of desires we will develop. And it is said that every desire actually somehow or other leads to a new body. So we have to be very careful to somehow or other really start cultivating and harboring spiritual desires versus the material desires. And then we can see that by doing that, we are utilizing our time that will then qualitatively make our human life great. That's what the human life is for. A dog does not have a sense of what time am I supposed to get up and chant my rounds. He does not have a sense of, the morning time, the Brahma Muhurat time is for chanting, is for reading, is for studying the Shastras. But the human life has that prerogative. We have that opportunity that we can make that advancement. And finally, where are we getting all this information? We are getting this information, and we should invest our time back into Bhagavad Gita. So these are some thoughts I wanted to leave all of you with, that the literatures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, they are the highest knowledge of the entire creation. It gives the road to achieve happiness, which will never leave from our life. Bhagavad Gita will solve our age-old query that how to live forever. It has a solution for everything. Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, the last chapter of that canto is that Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer to all the questions. It answers our time immemorial inquiries. Where does God stay and what does he do? It shows the blissful way to live and the highest stage. And knowing this, one will always be free from stress and anxiety, and will make one a fighter in the face of challenges. As how Arjuna became very strong, we will also become strong. And it will make us to, like us, the transmitter, to radiate happiness around, because the practicing of Krishna consciousness is only half done unless we pass that on to somebody else actually. And this is a very vital element if somebody is looking to go on a fast track. So there is a stair you can take up to Golok Vrindavan, or there is a lift. What would you prefer to take, knowing that Lord is intensely waiting to have you there? How many of you would like to take an elevator and go to the spiritual world, or how many of you would take stairs, which is like many, many lifetimes? Let me know your thoughts in the messages so we can have some reflections on that. So sharing Krishna consciousness is a bit like that, and it directly gives us what is the goal of human life, and the list can actually go on and on. But these were some thoughts which Bhagavad Gita gives us. So I feel very privileged, very happy, very grateful that I'm able to get an opportunity to study and read Bhagavad Gita, to be able to share with all of you. And I'm sure you all feel the same way. You know, there are 50 of you on the call right now. I mean, imagine how pleased Srila Prabhupada us will be for us to come and study together. But in the near future, it would be even better if each 50 of you started a chat group like this, and and invited another 50 people actually. That's when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will look at all of us and say, you're really growing, you know, and you're really making a difference. So it's a very good idea to dedicate our life to this transcendental vibration of Bhagavad Gita and distribute it with others. So as I said, in the last few days, I mentioned to you that we have some service opportunities coming up at the temple, like we have a wonderful table to distribute Bhagavad Gita and other books of Srila Prabhupada. And this book actually has everything in it, you know, for the people to understand these queries. So I want to take this opportunity tomorrow to share with you that how you can present the Bhagavad Gita to anybody at any time, at anywhere. This is the formula which I learned from my spiritual master, His Grace Vaishashika Prabhu. And I will share it with you that when we go out on book distribution, I use this formula. And I thought it would be nice to have a session on how to give out Bhagavad Gita and generally other books of Prabhupada, and why this service is so dear to our acharyas. What is our mood? What is the mood behind the service? Are we doing it just for numbers, or there is a deeper reason behind it? What purification do we get in this service? And in this current COVID situation where all of you distributed over 300 Bhagavatam sets, Vrindavan Chand Prabhu is going to share the results with all of us tonight. Um, and and all of us, the entire UK have done incredible. We have smashed our goal, not just UK, even Europe goal, we have smashed it. So now I'm really hoping and praying that Bhagavatam we should be distributing throughout the year, but let's now bring Bhagavad Gita and other books onto the table and reach out to the others actually. And especially in this COVID time, how we can use our intelligence to reach out to our friends and families, because many people have Bhagavad Gitas, but hardly anybody has Bhagavad Gita as it is. And what better than giving them a Gita and inviting them for a session, because we have a follow-up program here like chat. And in the future, you can start to cultivate them and do your own chat sessions. So please let me know if you all like this idea, and if you would like to, if you are happy for me to share some tips and some of these thoughts which I talked about in the session tomorrow, because we have time. We are ahead of our schedule in this particular section. So I thought maybe tomorrow and day after as well, we'll see how much we can go through tomorrow. I would like to talk about our legacy by your permission. If I have your permission, then please type Hare Krishna in the chat message, and that way I know that I can then carry on with the session. So we'll stop here. Om Tat Sat. And let's look at your chat messages to see if I have your permission tomorrow to do that. Okay, great. All of you are saying Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you so much. So we will do that tomorrow. So we will take any comments or questions now. Oh God, everybody's saying Hare Krishna. So thank you so much. I'm so happy. Srila Prabhupada will be so pleased with all of you wanting to desire to develop and learn this great art of transcendental book distribution, and how we will particularly focus on Bhagavad Gita tomorrow, because it's a beautiful book, and it's a very famous tried and tested formula by many devotees. So I'm sure you'll find it very helpful. Bhagavati Mataji is saying, when we become a devotee of Krishna, death loses its unpleasantness, because now it means a return to the original source of the universe. We begin to lead our lives with a great degree of courage and fearlessness, because we know how it will end, how it will all end. That was a very profound realization, Bhagavati Mataji. You have some amazing realization. Thank you so much. Kalpana Mataji is saying, I have a Sangha tomorrow, so I will join late. We will recite the chapter, and we will continue reciting the second part of the chapter. And I will check if we can do this 2 days session over Saturday and Sunday. And we can, or if it finishes tomorrow, we'll finish tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. So any more comments or questions, you can unmute yourself and ask, or put it on the chat button. Rita Mataji is saying that I would like to take the elevator to the spiritual world. Yes, Mataji. And that's not me speaking. That is Jai Advaita Maharaj, a very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Somebody asked him in Vrindavan when he was giving a class. After the class, one devotee got up and said, Maharaj, we have been practicing Krishna consciousness for so many years, chanting our rounds, doing our sadhana. But is there a way to make a quicker advancement so we can start to feel more bliss and happiness in what we are doing? And Jayadvaita Maharaj turned around and he said, if you do want to experience that, then you have to go out in the world of unknown and try to share this Krishna consciousness, especially through the books of Srila Prabhupada. And then you will experience that bliss and you will be on a fast track route of advancing in Krishna consciousness. Yashwini Sachi Mataji is saying you mentioned deserve and then desire. You can please elaborate it for us. Thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances. So the idea is, Mataji, normally in the material world, you desire and then you kind of deserve because you want to desire something. In one sense, in spiritual life, that is also correct. That only until and unless we harbor spiritual desires in our life, say I want to one day be able to chant my 16 rounds sitting in one place and to be able to hear the each mantra, say that if that's the our spiritual desire, so that's a great desire to harbor, because by harboring on that desire, one day will come that we will be able to deserve it by the mercy of the Harinam Prabhu itself. Because if that's what our desire is, when we sit down to chant, then Harinam Prabhu will be merciful on us. Why? Because that desire, which is our desire, is non-different to Krishna's desire. Whereas any other material desire we may have, say I want to sit down, but I also want to keep a log on and keep watching, I don't know, some interest cricket match or something at the same time, and my telly is on. Now there is a contradiction in that, because that is not Krishna's desire. He doesn't want us to be wasting time watching a cricket match while we are chanting the name, because we are not even calling out to him honestly and earnestly. So that way we should desire. But my point about first deserve and that desire was that in spiritual life, we have to build our qualification through seva. When we serve, Srimad Bhagavatam speaks, mentions about this, that by serving those who are free from vice or tendency to criticize others, a great service is done. Through such service, one gains the affinity to hear the message of Vasudev. So by serving such Vaishnavas, we are building our adhikar to be able to serve more and more and more and more, and that way deserve even more mercy of the Lord actually. So and that way we'll be able to desire more and more of spiritual ambitions. Right now, a lot of our ambitions are more materially motivated. But when we serve the pure devotees or the Vaishnavas particularly, this is the best service. When we serve the Vaishnavas, then we can slowly and gradually start to become recipient or deserve more and more mercy, so we can practice more spiritual life. Hope that is helpful. Saroj Mataji is saying, schedule the great acharyas followed seems impossible for me as a neophyte devotee. How can we aspire to this? That's a very good question you're asking, Saroj Mataji. So my suggestion will be that begin from where you are, Mataji. So let's say if you're chanting 2 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, keep it at that and try to raise yourself to 3 rounds or 4 rounds. It is, if sometimes because of our enthusiasm we can go to 16 rounds, but if it is not sustainable, then we should try to go to the next stage, which is chanting the 4 rounds. And till now, let's say if you're only reading Bhagavad Gita one day and second day you're not able to read, but one day you're able to read 5 pages and you're in bliss, which is nice. But another day you're not so much feeling great because you haven't had the opportunity to have not had the opportunity to read Bhagavad Gita. So my humble suggestion will be is begin to read 2 pages of Bhagavad Gita every day rather than doing 5 and not none next day. So do dedicate your life, write down on a piece of paper. My name is Saroj, and my dear Lord Srila Prabhupada, I commit today on this day of 4th of September that I would like to dedicate my 5 minutes to read 2 pages of Bhagavad Gita every day. And when you write that down, something magical will happen, Saroj Mataji, because you are trying to show your sincerity to Krishna that I want to take my spiritual life seriously, and I'm going to come up with my spiritual goal. And one of my goal is to dedicate my 5 minutes every day to read 2 pages of Bhagavad Gita. And when you write it down, make it visible somewhere to you, so when you get up every day at least twice or three times, you're able to see that paper, that it reminds you, have I read my 2 pages? And when you read those 2 pages of Bhagavad Gita every day, you will notice an amazing transformation in your life, Saroj Mataji. And that is called a huge success. It's not a small success, because the same 2 pages will give you the taste to rise to the 3, 4, 5, and 15, if not 40 pages a day. Like my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, for many, many years, he's dedicated his life. When he gets up, he does not do anything first apart from finishing his 41 pages of reading Bhagavatam every day, which takes him just over an hour actually. So like that, it's good to have the spiritual goals, but according to our capacity. Prabhupada said most people complain about the time, but it's not the time, it's the question of the taste. And the taste comes from consistency. If you somehow dedicate just 2 pages a day, you will notice magical change in your life, Saroj Mataji. Hope that was helpful. Uh, Rita Mataji is asking Prabhu, what is the way to do the book distribution? Mataji, that's a nice topic. I will share that tomorrow in my session, that why we do book distribution, what is the mood of our acharyas. So please, if you want to invite some of your friends who think will be benefited in understanding the mood of our acharyas and why we do this activity, invite them to read a chapter of Bhagavad Gita with us tomorrow. And then we can do this session about why we distribute Srila Prabhupada books and what was the mood and some of our legacy and history behind it. Okay, let me see if there are any more questions or reflections. Okay, great. Yashini Mataji is thanking me. All right, well, devotees, it's now 8:45. If somebody has any reflection or a burning question, I could take it. If not, we can stop here and continue tomorrow. So we'll probably continue for 45 minutes tomorrow evening doing that session and take any question. We will have a bhajan as well tomorrow evening. So we'll see how that goes. So I think I may do the session over the 2 days. So very much like the enthusiasm you preach with Kusum Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your encouragement. The enthusiasm does not belong to me. It comes from me from my spiritual master, if there is any. But one day I hope I can become enthusiastic in performing my devotional service and my devotional activities. Thank you for your blessings. So thank you everybody for the session this evening and dedicating your life to the Vani of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I can assure you, in this entire creation, there is no better vibration than the vibration which is emanating from the lotus mouth of Srila Prabhupada. There is no better book which is coming directly from Lord Krishna in the form of Bhagavad Gita, which has been transformed and transcribed by his pure devotee Srila Prabhupada. And there's no better book like Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So let us dedicate our life as much as possible to this vibration and also benefit the world by distributing this knowledge at large. And you will see magical things will happen in your life. And we will hear tomorrow a little bit from the devotees how their experience was in the Bhadra campaign, depending on the time. So let's just do maybe a couple of days of session and we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, please take care, stay safe, and Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Hare
sindhubhyo
Krishna, Prabhu.
Titanam bhavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you,
Prabhuji.
Hare
Prabhuji. Hare
Krishna. Thank you.
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the wonderful class.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
So much encouragement, so much
Thank you, Mataji.
determination. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shalini Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for your
Thank you,
wonderful
Mataji.
class.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.